Okay.
Hi everybody, it's me, Corey T, and I'm very excited because I have my absolute manifestation bestie on the show. April's here. If you don't already follow April, I would highly recommend going over to her channel. We are going to have a chat like we do basically nearly every day on the phone. We're always chatting about manifestation, about growth, about things that we're learning in our personal life. And sometimes we say to each other, oh my God, why didn't we record that? Why didn't we record that conversation? It was so good. Everybody needed to hear it. So we thought we would do that. We have a point and a purpose to this conversation that we're going to come to in a minute. And this is going to go on both our channels. So I'm going to hand over to April
Yeah,
now.
so to my followers, this is my favorite person. I love Corey. This is
Aww.
Creighton Corey. And if you don't follow her, for sure, she's got a perspective and she has a certain presentation. And there's a lot of information that you can gain from listening to both of us, honestly. But yeah, go ahead and head over there and see what she's talking about.
Yeah. So we, again, like many of you know, because I know so many of you have followed our conversations already, but if you didn't know, me and April met through the journey of manifesting our specific people, which we're now both with. And we had a crazy wild ride. And, you know, the journey of actually being in a relationship has also been a crazy wild ride that has led us to more healing, more growth, more realizations. And like I said on a post recently, I said, I am a different person to the person that I was when I started this channel. And my channel is going to be shifting. And we wanted to have this conversation because of the conversations that we've had that have been shifting about our perspective about manifestation and what it's really all about, what meeting your specific person is really all about. Because we've experienced so many shifts, like in our own, in, you know, in my personal life, in April's personal life. Initially, you know, whenever I started my channel, I was like, oh my God, I manifested my specific person and I need to tell everyone how I did it, and I need to tell everybody that I did it. I got the thing. And I was still in that state of I got the thing. And actually, when you know, at the time, I know that I had an awareness of self-love. I know I had an awareness of this is about me. I knew I had that awareness, but still, and you know, if you go back and analyze the way that I'm speaking in my earlier videos, you'll see that there's still part of me that was very much in the I got my manifestation and you can too, which obviously I completely believe, but there's a deeper understanding that I've come to that's more important, which in essence is basically that the journey to meeting a specific, the purpose of meeting a specific person, and the compelling feelings and the urgent feelings and the desperate feelings and the heartbreak and all of that, all has a purpose, a really great, brilliant purpose. And that purpose is that this person has been put in your life, not by accident, but to help you to meet yourself, to help you to become the person that you want to be. And it could be that the thing was a car that you really wanted, or a job that you really wanted, or a place that you wanted to live, that you would desperately really wanted to live. Whatever the drive is doesn't really matter. But many of you have been brought to my channel because you've resonated with my story or April's story about the journey of manifesting a specific person, with the motive and the drive to create that relationship. And you've been driven and are still driven and motivated by that, which is a beautiful, amazing thing that is leading you and is making you now on a journey. You're on a journey, a beautiful one now, that is going to take you somewhere far bigger and far more expansive than just having created the relationship. So what where should we start?
Well, the one thing that I'm eager to say is that,
Yeah.
so when people come to me for coaching, and I understand they're coming to me, right, because they want their person back, and I understand that that is the motivation behind them coming to me for the answers. But what I want to the basis of what I tell them is that that's great, and I want that for you as well. But the difference between getting them back and keeping them is an entirely different situation. If you just want to manifest your person back, if that's all it is, if you just want to manifest a conversation with them, you can do that. That's easy. That's just using your imagination. Imagine that they're texting you, feel it like it's real, and do that for a few days. Stick with that intention, and you'll get back in contact with people. But through my experience, what I recognized was, sure, you get them back and then you lose them because you didn't do any of the work that was necessary to evolve in order to keep them. There was no self-awareness that was gained. You didn't, right? So like through coaching with me, I always feel like it's more of yeah, you're getting to meet yourself. We're going to get to know you. You're going to get to know you. You're going to learn to choose yourself. You're going to learn to break unhealthy patterns. You're going to recognize, why is it even this person? Right? Like, that's my number one question. Why is it this person that's causing you so much pain? Let's get to the bottom of that. Not that you don't need to choose this person, but you need to choose them with a healthier understanding
Of
um
yourself, really.
yourself, so that you can keep them and be that. It's like this: you're manifesting a healthy relationship. You want this bond with this person. You've got it in your mind that it's this big romantic fairy tale, and that's what you want. We all want that, right? We all want the fairy tale ending. You're asking for something that you are not. You're not that healthy person. You're not the person that's not pointing fingers and judging and having opinions and blaming and projecting. You're not that person. So you're asking for all this understanding and care and unconditional love, but you are not unconditional love, right? Like, you're not embodying what that is. So all you're asking for is a lesson, because
Yeah.
if you're asking for something that you're not, what comes with that is a lesson, and
Yeah.
it's all for you. So it's a beautiful experience, a beautiful journey. You can have what you want, right? Like, you can have your person back, but what are you going to do when you get them? How's that going to
Yeah.
work out?
Because I think, I mean, there's some things that are really triggering for those who
Yep.
may be in that point of their journey where, there's some things that I've said many times to clients, and we've talked about together, that I know are triggering and were triggering for me at the part of the journey where people say things like, you can have this or something better, and people go,
Yeah,
well,
I
I
don't want
don't
to
want
hear
it.
that.
I don't want anything better.
It's scary.
I
Yeah, I
don't
don't want to hear
I,
that. I
I
don't want
don't.
to hear that.
Yeah. And that's,
um there's more to just than wanting. I just wanted to get me to the point. How do I get my
yeah.
person back? That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear about.
And then the response to that is like, but I want what I want. So why can I
Right.
not have what I want? If I've
Right.
decided that I want this person and I want it to be great with this person, why can I not have that if manifestation is real? So in all of these questions, there is the root of all suffering, as the Dalai Lama says, which is attachment. Right?
Right.
Attachment, as I think it's a great point that the Dalai Lama has said there, is
Yep.
the root of suffering. So
Right.
when we are attached to something, this could be, and this is why coaching is so important, because it helps you understand why you are maybe attached to certain things or people, or why you have the motive
Right.
or the drive to associate needs, feelings, the avoidance of feelings with a certain person. And also, I will also say as well that what I've learned through coaching many people as well is that as humans, we want certainty. And part of the reason why people will say, I don't like that, I don't want something better, is because when you say something better, you're thrown into uncertainty, and we don't like that. And so we are,
I'll tell you something when you're done. Go ahead. Go ahead. I
yeah,
want
so
to tell you
like,
something when you're done.
because we are, I know, it's so exciting, we're like, oh my god, yeah, this and this and this, like there's so many exciting points. Please bear with us, because I know that some of these points are triggering, but they will lead you to freedom. They're going to lead you to freedom, and they're going to lead you to growth, even if you can't hear it right now, and even if it's just something that it's like, okay, I can hear that, but I'm not ready to like feel like that. I'm
Come
not
back
ready
to it.
to
Come back to
accept
it. I
it.
do that all the time. I go
Yeah.
back to things that, like, I'll read a book and I'm like, that doesn't really resonate now, but later something will happen and I'll go back and read it. And I'm like, okay, now it makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense. But what
Yeah.
I want to say about this uncertainty is, I was listening to I wish I could when I get in these positions like this and I can't remember names, it's my thing. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Mm,
Um it was a study that they were doing about past life regressions, and they were taking thousands of these scenarios for people who have gone through this past life regression all over the world.
mm,
And they were trying to see what the similarities are. And one of the similarities that they recognized was that, and I love this. Okay, so just if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, but it brought me a lot of comfort to recognize this. Is what they said is like in between lives, okay, you get to plan out your life. You get a whole team, you get together and you're like, you're planning out your life and you're meeting up with other people that you're going to interact with on this planet, in this arena, like your family and people that you might let's just we'll narrow it in on the romantic relationship. And they said that you'll go off with this spirit while you're planning your life, and you'll because you know you're going to forget, so you leave these markers for each other, and you're not really sure what they are when you're here, but you're just drawn to a person for whatever reason. Okay, and that person might literally, you've already planned this, that they might just be a villain in your timeline for a little while so that you can grow to be the woman that you need or the man that you need for the next relationship. But you don't know that when you're in it, but you don't know that you've already planned this for yourself. You don't know that it's all going to work out in a very beautiful way if you could just relax and understand that you've already got your own back. This has already been part of the plan. And the reason that it resonated so much with me is when I thought back to going through my marriage, my first marriage, and I wanted that to work so badly. And if somebody would have said, but there's something so much better waiting for you, I wouldn't have wanted to hear it. And it would
yeah,
have caused me the anxiety and I wouldn't have wanted to hear it. But then, you know, when I relate that to now, I would have gone through all of that if it meant the beautiful relationship that I have now.
yeah, yeah,
I would not trade a single thing. And if that's the unknown, why is that? Why can't we accept that we have our own backs, that our
yeah,
higher selves really is looking out for us? And if this one scenario might just be a lesson and there might be something better, like why would you cut yourself off from that just because of uncertainty? So like
yeah,
for me, it's like everything is okay, everything's fine, everything the way that you're experiencing it is absolutely normal and beautiful. And if you could just appreciate it in the moment and just kind of
yeah,
take it one day at a time, because maybe it is your person, but maybe you guys need a little bit of time apart from each other to learn what you need to learn to go through that pain that's going to drive you to your growth, so that when you guys come back, you're in a healthier place for each other. Like
yeah,
if you can just accept all of that and just kind of look at it from that point of view that you are taken care of, what
yeah.
is that really to be
There's nothing to
so
be afraid
anxious
of.
about?
There's nothing to be afraid of.
There's
It's,
nothing.
it's like, as I always say, you're always exactly where you need to be. And like, whenever I look back at like my journey and I look back at those times where I was thinking, is this going to happen for me? What's the point in any of this? And the timeline that it took, everything unfolded exactly as it's supposed to be, but also in the relationship, the struggles that I went through, the attachment, the codependency that I've had to work on, all sorts of different things. I thought, oh my God, when is this going to end? Like, is this going to get better? What's the point of all of this? There was pain there. There was pain that had to be felt. And at the time, it felt like, will this ever end? What's the point in this? Like, what's this coming to? And at the time, honestly, I was just like so confused, so very confused about why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. But when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I had to feel all those things. I had to release all that pain. I
Yeah.
had to release all that trauma. And actually, all my specific person, Johnny, obviously, um, yeah, my relationship that I've had with him, as many of you have resonated with, it was just a strong attraction that never went away for me, even when we had years apart. And I always thought, well, like, why? What is this? Like, what is this coming to? If it's coming to nothing, it was never going to come to nothing, because whatever had happened, I was going to come to some growth, realizations, freedom, whatever it was that was going to lead me to where I'm at now was going to
Lead for
happen
yourself.
one way or another, you know. And if it
Mhm.
hadn't have been with him, it would have been with someone else. But in my life, in my lifetime, I was drawn to him, and I do believe that he was put into my life by absolutely no accident. And I think like there's more than this kind of magical romantic Disney love story thing at play there. It's not like that. It was more like my trauma and his trauma were very familiar with each other, and that was an unconscious knowing that I had, and that was a lot of the drive towards my connection and my attraction to him, unknowingly. And that's not the same for everyone, by that's not the same. But like, I often find that when you're really, really drawn to someone, and when there's something there for you to learn, it's more than your higher self. It's something, you know, bigger than me, bigger than you, that knows, like you say, that there's an unconscious knowing that knows that this is supposed to happen.
Supposed to happen. This is supposed to be your person,
Yeah,
to drive you to your own. But the whole premise here is that the thing that it's always bringing you back to is getting to know yourself.
Yeah,
Choosing yourself, setting boundaries for
yeah,
yourself, being healthy so that you can live. Because how I ask people this all the time. Wouldn't you love to live a life where you didn't feel so desperate for this person?
yeah,
It's the feeling that you're trying to escape, that feeling of like, right, like you're trying to solve that feeling. Wouldn't it
yeah,
be good if you could just do that on your own and you didn't need that person to solve it for you?
yeah,
Wouldn't that
yeah.
be
You
so
know
much
what?
better?
I think that on some level, often, like what we're thinking is that even if we're conscious enough to know that I need to love myself, I need to be really secure within myself, I need to put myself first, I'm worthy, all these things we know consciously, but emotionally, physiologically, we don't know those things.
Right.
And that's the journey that we're getting to.
It is.
That's where we're going to. That's where we're heading to. But we have to go through this process, however long it takes, whatever that means, whatever ups and downs and messiness is in the middle of it.
And it's going to be on purpose.
Yeah,
It's designed that way. Like
yeah,
it's the perfect, don't you think it's like the perfect design to help you wake
yeah,
up? So,
yeah,
so you know, people, because we get caught, it's this loop of desire that everyone gets caught in, where you desire something, and then you think that once you get the thing, then you'll be fine, and then
yeah,
you'll meet the person, and then they come with all of their crap, and then you're going to desire them to be different. So if you could just clean all of that up in the beginning, and really, so you release yourself from the attachment that comes from the desire, so that
yeah,
when the person comes into your life, you just get to enjoy them.
yeah.
You're not asking
Acceptance.
for them to be different, right? You've done the work.
Exactly. Like, I think that's what it comes to, because I think, like, when I remember having this like really dark time with me in in our relationship, and it was like I was projecting all my stuff onto him, and he was just living.
Yeah.
Just being him. He was just planted there in my life, just getting on with his life. And I was projecting all of my stuff onto him, thinking, why can't he be different? Why can't he do this? Why can't he do that? And I didn't realize at the time that a lot of my suffering was because of all of my trauma and all of my stuff that I was projecting onto him. And I remember this little really quiet voice said to me, okay, if I can accept myself, I can accept him, and I can accept the present moment. And I said that with that, it's like the words got planted into my head, but it felt very true. And later I realized how true that was. It came, all of this comes back to the journey to meeting your specific person, to having that relationship, to going through all the shit that you go through in the relationship, to overcoming your triggers. All of that stuff leads you back to what you desperately want, which is self-acceptance and self-love. And often we think that we're doing that, but we haven't physiologically experienced it. But
You're
the
still
journey,
waiting for it to happen
yeah.
essentially.
And it's like, it's something that we can try and explain, and we can try and describe, and we can try and tell people how to do it and how to get them. We as coaches, we guide people towards those truths through the triggers, like, for example, it's you know, this or something better, or what are the other things that trigger people? You know, like, it, what would it be like if it wasn't this person? That's a really triggering question. But
Yeah, can you face it if it doesn't happen?
yeah, like,
How is that going to feel if you don't get this?
that question is such an illuminating question, because it shows you the feelings that you are avoiding feeling. So
Yep.
when we're so, like, often I've seen it like hundreds of times, people are propelled to create a relationship with a specific person. And by the way, me too.
Me
And
too.
you know, basically everyone I know who's been on this journey, and we're propelled to it because if you ask yourself that question, which people don't, you know, in this community, it's all live in the end, live in the wish fulfilled, like, imagine the end scenario. But but that doesn't address the feelings that you're trying to avoid by thinking that being in this relationship on some level, you may on some level know, okay, that I know that relationship won't fix everything for me. It won't give me the escape route to feeling loneliness, sadness, pain, grief, all of these things. It won't do that. You know that on some level, but there's also another part of you that thinks, yeah, but if I can get that relationship, life will be better. Life
And
will,
it will be, but it'll be temporary.
yeah, it's
It's
like
a
having a
band-aid.
sugar high. You get those like moments of like, oh, I've got energy and I feel better, but then it dies down again, and we're
Well,
on this
that's,
perpetual
yeah, so
roller
there's
coaster.
actually what's going on within your brain is exactly that. You're the same as an addict. There's no
Yeah,
difference. The same chemicals that are the feel good hormones that are released, the neurotransmitters that are sending the signals are the same exact ones that happen during an addiction, because this person will breadcrumb you, right? And
yeah,
you'll give them, it'll make you feel really, really good and excited and you feel approved of, and then they take it away. And then
yeah,
when they're taking it away, you go through withdrawals. You feel really bad about yourself, and they give it and take it, and they give it and
yeah,
take it. And now you're confusing anxiety for being in love. But all of this
yeah,
person has done is created. If you really you want to manipulate someone to fall in love with you, create anxiety in their lives. They'll be stuck to you like this. But if you're the one on the other end of it, it doesn't feel so good, and you're reacting with your, the side of your brain that's going the fight flight reflexes are taking over. And
yeah.
it's up to, I wish I could find the article real quick and pull it up. Talk and I'll pull it up.
Well, yeah. Well,
My
I
notes.
mean,
In my notes.
basically, like in essence, what we're saying is that, and although I know it's difficult to hear if you're not where this conversation is, but the thing that you think you want, whether it's a person, a place, a thing, whatever it is not going to be the sustainable peace that you are looking for within yourself. That comes from you. But this person, this place, this thing, whatever it is important to you because it is leading you there through the lessons that this person or place or thing will give you. So, like we can actually send, I've said this before, but we can send so much love to this person for existing in your life. Oh, hi, cat.
Sorry.
Um, because this person has brought you to this beautiful journey. And like, my goal as a coach has like really dramatically changed in terms of like, because I'm so excited to share my own growth and my own transformation. I can't tell you how much I feel physiologically different to when I started this channel, and clearer, and the lessons that I've learned. And yeah, I'm still evolving, I'm still growing, I'm still healing, I've got my own shit, right? Just like all of you. But like, I can't tell you how profoundly different I feel, and I'm excited and really want you to experience the same thing. And if that's through a relationship, great, let's do it that way. But I'm telling you now that this stuff, the peace that you start to experience, and the actual self-acceptance and the detachment that you start to experience, because I never thought that I'd get to the point where I could say I'm less scared of losing my relationship than I was before, because I know and I trust that what I want is what is best for me and what is best for him, and whatever that
That's
means
right.
in life, that feels more like love to me. That feels more like unconditional love. That feels more like flow.
I
And
know
often,
I told you that yesterday, or maybe, yeah, yesterday, right? That I
yeah,
said, if David and I decide, if he decided tomorrow that this was no longer his desire to be in a relationship with me, and he decided that it was time to move on, I'd be a little sad, right? Like we would all be sad, but
yeah,
I would lovingly be okay with that. I'd
yeah,
say that's what your desire is, and that's your life path, and you're choosing that. I choose it for you. I'll
yeah,
be fine. Like I
yeah,
don't need you to, I don't, because I stopped seeking approval.
yeah,
Don't need it's like, okay, so it's the difference between saying I love you because I need you, or I
mm,
need you because I love you,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
there's a difference in those sayings. So I
yeah,
love you because I need you is where you don't want to be, but I
yeah,
need you because I love you is as long as that's working, as long as you're feeling that with each other, that's great. But if it falls off and it's not there anymore, and our lives take us in different paths, I'm okay with that. I'm not
Yeah.
like,
And
I
that's
don't feel
not
like
a
desperate need to
failure.
hold on to it.
It's not a failure, because I think like what a
Right.
lot of the conversation in the community is, but why would you, wouldn't that be a failure of a manifestation if that happens?
It's just it's a new desire, a new manifestation.
Yeah, and it's
This
like,
one has
no,
served its purpose.
a lot of, exactly, the relationship is there, is there to serve a purpose for you, for your evolution, for your growth, and it helps you to be in the state of flow. If you can trust that your path is going to lead you to a beautiful place, that's
Right.
manifestations too. Like having the positive mindset to know that I trust that my life is taking me somewhere good. I trust that my
Yes.
life is unfolding perfectly. There's always going to be, great things happening in my life. I trust myself. And I think like, well, a lot of the problem, a lot of the stagnancy, a lot of the halt in manifestations happening is the lack of acceptance of what is in the moment, and the inability to let go, the inability to like trust that, okay, like if this person is not for me and this person is, well, this person is for you. That's the thing. This person is for you because they've been put in your life for you,
Well, that's the biggest sign to me that that's your soulmate. The more chaos that they're causing in your life, the more
yeah,
they're going to be there, because
yeah,
that's how you come into your understanding. That's where you search for answers. The more
yeah.
painful it is, the more you're going to be curious, is like, what can I do here?
Yeah,
Right? Like, I'm
actually,
going through my second. Go ahead.
you've said to me at points in my relationship, there's been a few times where, I've struggled with codependency. I've struggled with anxiety. And I've said to you before, like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is right for me. I don't know if, like, I just don't know if I can do it. And you said, this person is bloody brilliant for you, because
Yes.
he's literally triggering your deepest stuff and you are facing it. So like,
Fucking that is right
take
for
the
you.
opportunity. And I am so bloody glad I did, because that is part of the process, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
breaking the patterns of like externalizing, looking for happiness outside of yourself, looking for validation outside of yourself, wanting to actually have a parent and not a partner. That
Right.
was a big thing for me. I think I was looking for a lot of like the things that I didn't get in my parent figures
Well,
in my
most of us are.
relationship, which creates resistance, disconnection, stagnancy. And when you start to realize these things, you're like, oh my God, the relationship can transform now, because I'm starting to realize that I can give those things to myself. It's light bulb moment after light bulb moment
I think
after.
I had one like that where I said, the reason that I am so desperate to be in a relationship is I don't trust myself to take care of myself on my own.
Yeah,
That's terrifying. It was a terrifying feeling to me to go, oh, I'm going to be by myself and I'm responsible for my own everything. There's nobody to point the finger at when you're by yourself, taking care of a house, paying your own bills, doing everything on your own. I didn't like that. Was like a very that was a very scary understanding. And once I recognized that that was the fear that was driving me to like be so needed to like, why am I so putting so much pressure on being in a relationship? What is this pressure? Why am I so like, why do I have to have it? Like I'm and it really was a fear of I'm not going to survive without one. And I
yeah,
had to come to grips with that and say, actually, logically, that's not the truth. And I had to poke holes in that story and tell myself, why couldn't you? What is it that's stopping you? You do whatever you have to do to take care of yourself and your children.
yeah,
There's nothing that you wouldn't do. So is that really the case? That's not the case. And when I started to really sit back and get comfortable and learn to trust myself, which was a big one, learn to
yeah,
trust that I could take care of me, learn to trust that I was good enough for myself, then that's when I had to look at David and say to myself, okay, I'm left with this person. Do I like the person that's here? Or do I feel like I need to change things about him? Or do I, is it like, can I really enjoy him? And that was another scary aspect of it, because it's like, you're letting go of all of the triggers and the anxieties, and you're forced to turn it back into yourself and look at yourself and say, wait, that's a projection. Whoa, that's a red flag for me. My mind is full of red flags. I red flag myself at least 80 times a day. That's a red flag. What are you thinking that for? Right? Like,
yeah,
that's a red flag. Why are you doing that? Why are you projecting that? Or why are you pointing your finger?
yeah,
Bring it back around, figure it out, get over it. And I get good, as you go on, you get really good at it. The triggers don't last long. You're like, okay, I know what that is. Moving on.
yeah.
That was a big one for me with him. And then to look and say, oh yeah, you know what? I really do love this man. Luckily we had a ton of things in common, but a lot of times people that I'm coaching, hundreds of times I see it and I'm like, if you could just pick the right person to begin with, if we could just get all of this out of the way and you could pick the healthy person to begin with, then this would be a lot smoother of a transition for you. But here we are. And a lot of times they come back and they recognize like, oh, I don't think I like this guy. Now that I don't like this, like I think there's somebody else out there for me because now I'm comfortable with me and whatever rose-colored glasses I was wearing, I'm kind of starting to recognize that that's a lot. That's maybe more than I want to have to deal with. And I, can move on, but
It's like,
still,
it's a lot
we're
about,
still going
I
to go
think
through some kind of a journey in this.
your perspective changes when you stop projecting what you think you want from the person, as opposed to like self-acceptance. I don't know if that makes sense, but when you accept yourself and you know that you can trust yourself and you know that you're not seeking, being, you're not seeking these things that you needed when you were a child in a partner. Basically, when you stop doing that and you stop projecting those things onto that person, you can see them clearly as who they are.
Yeah.
And then you can, and also what I found in my relationship as well is that, like, as I have been, projecting a lot of my traumas, as I, projected a lot of my inner child needs and all these things onto my relationship. And as I realized, like, oh my God, I'm doing that thing again where I'm like wanting him to be different so that I can feel a different way, wanting him to do something so I can feel a different way. That is a projection, because I'm thinking he can give me a feeling rather than me giving me the feeling. And as I started to realize that I was doing that, I started to feel a sense of acceptance within myself, but also of him.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that of the things that I thought were wrong about him before, I became more accepting of, because I was not needing him to be different in order for me to feel. And so that's when you start to see a different version of the person too.
You see them differently. You're either going to see them and you're going to be like, oh, I can live with this. I can accept this. This is fine. Or you're going to say, I want something different for myself. And either way, that's not wrong.
Yeah, either way, it's not wrong.
The truth is you're just being healthier for yourself and making better, clearer decisions for yourself without all of the chaos in your mind. It's a real sense of clarity that you have. And even then, it's not to say that there's times where I'm looking at David and I'm like, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, you drive me nuts. You know what I mean? Like, you're still gonna, nothing's ever gonna be perfect. And there's still gonna be things that you're gonna have to work through within your relationship for your growth. They're just not as painful as they were when you were in that mode of desperation, needing to have, this urge, this need to have these things fulfilled within you, but not believing that you can give them to yourself. And, you have a belief that it's going to be external to you.
And also that you think that, like, I have failed if I lose this thing, or I'm not going to be okay if I lose this thing. And I think, like, society has kind of like idealized, like, it's a beautiful thing when a relationship lasts a lifetime. Obviously that is an amazing thing, but what happens as a result of that is that people feel like a failure if it doesn't. When really that was actually just a part of their growth and evolution that they needed to go on to be a better person, to be a more loving person, to be a more self-accepting person, whatever, like, it was all meant to be that way. And we kind of got this, oh, this is great, and this is not so great. And then people end up, that's when
on yourself.
Yeah, and that's why when people come out of marriages, they feel like a failure. They feel like, oh, I failed at my marriage. That's not the case.
I held on to a marriage I was married for 15 years, and that was 13 years longer than I wanted to be married, because I was so fearful of what society, or the people that said that we wouldn't make it. I all of that played a part in me staying in a situation that wasn't for me. It wasn't good for me. I spent trying to make it work and trying to force this other person and all of that good stuff, only to end up choosing myself in the end anyway, and saying it's not, nothing is worth living a lifetime of being unfulfilled just for the sake of other people. but this was before I learned a lot of this stuff. But yeah, there's no pressure. If it works while it works, then that's great. And then if it doesn't, then there's something more for you. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
there's something, but the thing is that it'll fail, or what we perceived as fail. Something will happen and you'll choose something different, and you'll tell a story that was a bad thing that happened, because that's how you assume that, oh, I just failed, and there's a story around that, and relationships are difficult, and now you've got a whole story, and now that everything that happens after that is going to be a lesson for you to get back to knowing that you are in control of that in the first place. So
Yeah.
like, as a coach, like, we're here to, like, we want to help you prevent and learn as much as you can so that you're prepared for the world that you're walking into. Like, right, like, we've now experienced, I know you and I both have experienced now what getting their person back and thinking that that's all that it was going to take. And then, so this happened so me and David we had two big breakups, and I learned this the first time, and I learned manifesting, and I manifested him back, and only for it to last a year and blow up in my face. And when I say blow, I mean it blew up big. And to learn the second time around that it was more than just the manifesting. It was more than that. I was unhealthy, and I was trying to be in a healthy situation, but in my mind, I'm beating myself up. I'm not taking responsibility. I'm blaming him for all of it. He was the problem. I swore he was a narcissist. I swore all of these things about him. I swore he was this terrible monster, and I was a victim. Okay. And I was like, the only way that manifesting works is if I sit and affirm all day, every day, how amazing he was. That's not sustainable. That's
No.
why you get the person back, and your
Yeah.
anxiety will take over, and you will do the same behaviors that you've been doing all along that ran them off in the first place. You'll remind them of it. You'll remind them of why they left in the first place, and they're going to leave again. So as a
And
coach,
you,
we want to come in and say, hey, we can work on this now in the interim while you guys are broken up and while things are kind of separated. We can work on this so you're prepared for when this person comes back, that you've got the tools that you need.
and,
And the
and
people
it's and it's like, oh, sorry to interrupt you. I get so excited and I can't
oh yeah,
help
go ahead. I know. I already know.
it. But like it's like it's just about the tools are one thing, but like you say, they will lead you going round and round in circles like that. But like what the journey is like I said on an Instagram post or wherever it's about becoming. It's about becoming the change, becoming the person who actually responds and feels and thinks differently, not
Nothing
through
changes unless something changes.
yeah. And it's like and I, in my experience, what I experienced was, oh my god, the amount of like suffering that I was in my body through trauma that was trying to be released, that trying to be felt, trying to be experienced,
You do
projecting out onto my
suffer. Yeah.
relationship. Like it was like really bad. It was just getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where I felt like I had what you call like a dark night of the soul, really. I
Yeah.
really did feel like I had to face every one of my fears. Like, this isn't going to work. We're going to break up. What am I going to say to people? How am I going to feel? Will I ever get over it? Will I ever meet someone again? All these things I literally directly faced. And when you face the fear, it's exposure therapy. You end up not being afraid of that thing so much, because you realize that actually, you know what? No matter what bloody happens, I'm great.
I'm safe.
I'm safe. I
safe
know what
spot.
to do. I'm okay. I'm going to handle anything that life throws at me. If my worst case scenario was like, if I lose this person, I've lost that sense of I'm worthy because I'm in a relationship. I'm worthy because this person loves me. I'm worthy because, we have all these associations with what this person means to us and what they mean about us. And when you face like the fear of losing that thing that you think is keeping you safe, you realize, oh my god, I'm going to be fine anyway. I'm going to be fine. And then the fear of it goes away. And I think like when you have an actual physiological release of the fear that you have been so desperately trying to
That's the
avoid,
attachment.
but
The fear is the attachment.
the controlling behavior, the controlling manifesting, the controlling, I've got to get this, I'm going to manifest it. That's controlling. And it's controlling love, because you are trying to avoid a feeling that you so desperately don't want to feel. But as soon as you feel that thing, you are free, and you can come at this whole thing from a different perspective, from a place of actual, this is who I am. I'm happy with who I am, and I'm actually okay. Like no matter what happens.
I'm not. Yeah. So if you're seeking approval from this person, if you feel like you're chasing that, you want them and all, if they would just approve of me, if they would just choose me, if they would just, what is the word I'm looking for? It starts with a P.
If uh
I always
prioritize.
No, if they would just, I
If
don't
they
know.
if they would just be like
If they would just
consistent.
pick me, like, then I'll be
Yeah.
like, if you're doing that, if you're seeking their approval like this, if you're seeking that they just pick you, there's a word I'm looking for, and it is not coming to my mind. If they would just pick me, then if that's what's happening here, then you're holding yourself in resistance. That's the
Yeah.
thing that's going to keep you from actually getting the thing that
Yeah.
you keep you from your person, is that you're stuck in
Yeah.
this I need them to do this thing in order for me to feel safe. And
Yeah.
that's going to keep you in the lesson. So even if you get them back, it's going to be hot and cold,
Yeah.
and you'll be stuck in this loop until you figure it out, that it is not
And
this person's job to do this. It's not their job to choose you. And then what the next thing that happens is that you become very disrespectful of them. You're loving them based on, it's very much conditioned, like you're forcing yourself on them, and you're not respecting their boundaries.
mm,
That's not attractive, and you do all of these things, you display all of these unattractive qualities, and the person's running away screaming like you're nuts. Meanwhile, you're like, I'm just trying to feel good. Like, I
yeah,
just
I'm
want to
just
feel
trying to
better.
avoid my pain.
I'm just
Why
trying,
can't you
yeah.
come and fix me? Yeah, and I think like the thing is that like we can say all of this all day. We could talk about this for 10 hours. And if you haven't experienced it and you haven't experienced those lessons and those situations and those circumstances that lead you to these physiological reactions in your body that are going to bring up your stuff, bring up your fears, we could talk about it all day. But until you've experienced that physiological shift, you won't really know what we're talking about. So like, and that and this conversation that you're listening to now might be like, spinning a few wheels in your mind thinking, all right, yeah, that's interesting, I never thought about it like that. Maybe I can embrace this fear, maybe I can allow it to be there, maybe I can trust myself, maybe I can trust my body to feel these things, maybe I can trust my body to experience these emotions, because they're not bad or wrong. There's nothing you need to do to get rid of them. And I think like that's where I hope like the people who follow my channel know where my channel is different, and these conversations are different, because I'm not going to tell you to affirm all day long. I'm not going to give you a list of tools and skills and tricks and things. I want to help you heal your nervous system. I want to help you release your trauma. I want to help you become the person that you want to be. I want to help you understand your deepest, darkest fears. I want to help you understand your childhood and your core beliefs, so that you can understand why this is all happening, so that you can approach it differently, so that you can feel better and more secure and safer in your body, in yourself, so that you can be in a relationship and can create a relationship no matter what stage you are in your journey. Because also I should say that whenever me and Johnny got back together, I still believe that I was in some way trauma bonding. I still believe, I don't know if that's the right word, but I was definitely, even though
very aware of your codependency.
I was very aware of my codependency, which was still existing and still very much alive within
But you
me.
were aware of it, and that's the difference. The difference
Yeah.
is you had an awareness and you were working towards something. And people, you can do that in your relationship too. You can grow, you can get the person back and then still grow. You will. You're not going to have a choice, but the thing is that the awareness, it's the awareness, and you can start that awareness process now by every time you blame somebody else for something that's happening in your life. Stop. That should be that should be an immediate red flag. Why am I blaming somebody for this? And then get to the bottom of it for yourself. And it isn't going to look, it gets tricky. This is why to me coaching is amazing, because you're going to try to reflect it maybe in a way that it doesn't really make sense. And sometimes you need to talk to somebody about it and say, like I had one, let me say, I don't want to give anybody away, but like my friend, I don't know, we'll just throw some random person out there, would always say, you're not being a good friend to me. You're not being a good friend to me. And it's like, no, honey, you're not being a good friend to yourself. I'm trying, I'm listening, I am here. And I'm not saying what you want me to say, but that was a projection. That is a clear sign that you're not aware. You've not met yourself yet. And it's time. The whole thing that's happening here is just this, your inner being is screaming at you to get to know yourself. And it's
Yeah.
doing it by setting you up with these situations that are going to bring the awareness to you, whether it's at your job, you're in a
Yeah.
fight with a friend, you're not getting along with your family members. There's patterns, and it starts by the little awareness. So like when I do coaching, I start with the little, let's get ahead of the little awareness.
Yeah.
The little, let's build
Little
on that
by little,
little
definitely.
by little. Let's look at the, you know, let's find out why you're doing this. And then every time I hear you blame somebody else for something, I'm going to stop you right there. No,
Yeah.
that's not
And
what
it's
we're doing
like,
here.
that's a really good thing, really good point about the little by little thing, because like I think like often, and I know the one, because we come into this journey like, what's the answer? Why am I like
I want it
this?
all
What
right
do I
now.
need to? We want it all. And I know, because it's so uncomfortable and it's so triggering and it's so sad and there's so much pain and grief. And we want to get to the end of the journey, which doesn't exist. But like,
It
yes,
doesn't,
there
there's
is
no end.
definitely a place of more freedom and acceptance within yourself, which feels a hell of a lot better than chasing and needing and
Yeah,
wanting
you,
the
that's the thing. Like we're trying to tell you, you can solve that. You can
yeah.
solve that neediness. That's the part
Yeah.
that you like how, what a world to live in where nobody else can take away that power from you, or they can't grant it to you and they cannot take it away. You're going
Yeah.
to get like, that to me was where there's so much freedom, and like, I finally got to live my life. Like I didn't have to worry. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about other like trivial things anymore. It just, if I gain weight, like, it doesn't mean anything about me. It might mean something to
Yeah.
you, but it doesn't mean anything
Actually,
to me about
that's
me.
a really good question to ask. I've started asking 3 questions to my clients, which I think are just the most revealing questions. So you can write these down and spend some time asking yourself these things. One is, if you did not get the person or the thing that you want, what needs would you not, what do you perceive, what are the needs that you perceive would not be met? So is it companionship, is it love, is it validation, is it adventure? What are the needs that you think would not get met? When you break them down and you realize that actually this person can't be responsible for all of them, and I can get them in many other places, the attachment starts to weaken a little bit. Okay, that's part of it. The other question is, which is a very revealing question, what would you feel if you did not, if this worst case scenario was your person's not coming back and they're going to be with someone else? Sorry if that was triggering for anyone who was triggered by that, but actually that's a good thing. What is that trigger? What is that feeling that you think you would feel? What was the feeling that you think you would feel if that were the case? That's the feeling you're running away from. That's the one you need to feel.
Yes.
That's the one that's going to set you free.
Feel
Okay?
it.
Feel
Feel it
that
and
one.
don't think it.
Yeah,
Feel it.
in your
Let it
body.
in your
In your
body. It'll
body.
tell you everything you need to know. A lot of times we'll have a feeling and we'll try to think about it, and we get all the wrong answers because you're not in your logic mind.
Yeah.
If you just
Um,
feel it, think, is it fear? Like, what is it? What is the feeling that you're experiencing?
yeah. What is it? Hang on, bear with me. I just need to press pause for 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Right. Sorry, I had to press pause because Johnny was trying to get into the room and he needed something. Anyway, yeah, that feeling that we're avoiding is the one that we think that by manifesting this person, this place, this thing, whatever, we're going to avoid that feeling. And it's so triggering for us to imagine a world or a scenario where we won't get that thing, because that feeling that's hiding in our bodies is too scared to be felt. You're too scared to feel that feeling.
I
So
was too afraid to feel the fear of what it would be like to have to trust and lean on myself.
yeah,
That was that was my that was the thing that I had to come to grips with, and that was terrifying. I didn't want to feel it. I did not want to have to experience that at all. Like I didn't want to be alone. I did not want to have to be in a world by myself, being, responsible for financially or,
yeah,
everything. It was all overwhelming. I needed somebody by my side because then I could lean on them for the comfort that we'll do it together. It's better
yeah.
because we're together.
I
And I
think that
can't do it
comes
by myself.
down to a fear of death at the root of it. It's like,
Probably
if I don't feel this, if I can avoid
my
this
survival.
feeling, Yeah, it's
It's a survival. It was a survival. Yeah.
survival stress. Yeah, probably from
Yes.
very, very long time ago.
Right. So
Um,
that was what was driving me to like pick situations. I was willing to entertain situations that weren't good for me or were even probably dangerous for me just because it was better than being alone. The fear of being by myself and not being able to survive outweighed the fear of being in a bad relationship. So I
yeah.
was willing to put up with things that I shouldn't have. And I didn't have boundaries because at least I wasn't alone. I
Yeah.
had no boundaries in my relationship, and that neither did David. We came into that relationship just full of traumatic experiences and
Well,
just like,
that's your relationship. I mean, like, I saw a post on where was it? On Instagram recently from a coach, and it said, "Don't text your ex. Stop texting your ex. It's like trying to get Prada from Primark." And I think, well, actually, that's not true for everyone. That is not true, because you
no, it
can, like
isn't for
you have
everyone.
done, healed your. I think the change has to start from within. You started healing your own stuff. It instigates a change in the other person, and you can evolve and grow. I was speaking to my friend today who I've known for a really long time. She was telling me about times in her relationship where she felt it was a toxic relationship, where she
Mhm.
felt they didn't know how they were going to get through that, but they did. And that's not the same for everyone, because it might not be for everyone's highest good for that to happen. But
Right,
it's not true that it can't happen. It's not
right.
true that, like, every scenario that's toxic has to equal, okay, you need to leave this person. Well, and there are some
No, you don't.
situations
I
where,
didn't. Yeah.
yeah, there are some situations where obviously I would recommend, if you're being physically,
Oh
emotionally,
yeah.
or you're
Most yeah.
unsafe in any way,
There's
then
limit. Yeah.
yeah, if there's any of those scenarios, then obviously you need to protect yourself by removing yourself from that situation, because that's for you. But where you're in a dynamic where there's traumas coming up, and there's arguments, and there's these projections, and there's all of these things that could be looked at by your family or your friends as, oh no, that's toxic, that's bad, that's wrong, you deserve better, and all these things. When you want to work through these things, and this person is safe enough for you to express yourself, safe
Mhm.
enough for you to feel what you're feeling, safe enough for you to go and take space, go off and talk to your friends, safe enough for you to work through these things, there is always the chance that you can grow through those things and become better as people together, and
And that's
relationship.
absolutely Dave and our story. Like we still will bring information to each other. Like, hey, you should read this book, or hey, did I called Corey the other day when we got into it about our disagreement about um our beliefs, because David went one way with his and I went another
Yeah.
way with mine. And
Mhm.
but it's like, so and I had to work through that trigger because I was like, what am I feeling? Why is this bothering me so much? And we got through it together. But the
Yeah.
truth is that when David and I come back and talk about it, when the emotions weren't involved in it, we recognize that we were literally talking about the same thing anyway. It was
Yeah.
that loop of desire conversation. You
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Actually, we agree with each other.
Yeah.
And so it's
And
like
communication.
it's just communication, and then you grow. Now we both have a new. He adopted some things that I added to that, and I adopted some things he added to it, and there's a broader perspective.
Mm.
These aren't relationship things anymore. This is more like just life
Evolving.
philosophies that we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
So, but
But
that's
yeah,
how
they
we
still do
grow.
bring up your stuff, because in sometimes I found, like, my projections being like, but it seems like actually I'm trying to make a clone of myself. And
Yeah,
this was one of the illuminating things for me as well, was that, like, there's been times where I've, like, wanted Johnny to think in a certain way, wanted him to be on a
right, right,
healing journey like me, wanted him to be more spiritual like me. And you know why? Because I didn't accept myself,
right.
because I needed him to reflect back to me that I was right, and that
Hmm.
I was good enough, and that
That's
my
exactly what
way
we
was
came.
the right.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
my way
That's
was
the
the right
conclusion we
way.
came to. Right, was like, and I had to sit with that and say, yeah, I don't need him to believe in what I believe in, and I don't need to
No,
be right, and I don't need right, and I don't need to defend myself. If I
no,
believe what I believe, then I'm okay with that, and
yeah,
I don't need to argue that point, and it's not. I don't have to hold anybody hostage to my feelings for that either, right?
yeah,
Like I had to just accept that. Oh well, we're just seeing things a little differently, and And then I would even went a step further. We both did and said, well, what can I learn from that? What can I learn
Yeah.
from you? And he
Well,
was like,
that's
well,
great when you're in that place in your relationship where you can actually really reflect on that. And like sometimes one of you is and one of you isn't. Sometimes you both are. Sometimes,
yeah,
you know, it's just this, like, you know what it is, what I think I'm trying to say to everyone is to like the stagnancy and the attachment of needing a specific person, place, or thing is like often the thing that halts it and the thing that keeps you in suffering. And
yes,
like when you can let go of those things, which is not what people want to do because the attachment is so strong, and the need to avoid that pain is so strong. By the way, I was like, there was two questions. There was three questions, and I only did two. So there was one that was like, what are the needs that you think this person would get met, would it will not get met if you were to not have this thing? What would you feel if you were to not get this person? And oh yeah, that's the other one. If you did not have this person in your life and this person didn't want to be with you, and this, you know, all of the worst case scenario things happened, what do you think that that would mean about you? What do you think that that would mean about you? And often it comes back to a core belief. This is how I help people find their core beliefs is, well, if that happened, what would it mean about me? I would be a failure. I would be not good enough. Well, that's often what it is. I would be a failure.
somebody else was able to be that for them where I wasn't able to be that for
Yeah,
them.
so what's wrong with me? What's wrong
What's
with
wrong
me?
with me?
Often, like, it comes back to a feeling, you know, a feeling might be because often remember, like when we're young, we don't have the language to express these feelings, but there might be a feeling that's resonant, and now as an adult you can start to put words to it, and it might be something like, nobody cares about me, I don't
Mm-hmm.
get what I want. And if you ask yourself that question, like, if I don't get what I want here, what does that mean about me? And I know that this goes against a lot of the manifestation channels approaches, because they're all like, live in the end, live in the wish fulfilled, which is basically just, in my opinion, a lot of the time, I do see why that is a like technique, because actually you have to know where you're going, where you want to go, you have to know where you want to go, you have to know the state that you want to get to, but to do that consistently without addressing the inner
Without
fears.
right, you still need that. Like I still
Yeah,
totally agree with akin to sleep and all of those techniques. I love them. I love all
yeah,
I love affirmations. I do them myself, but it's doing them without this understanding is you're missing the entire point. You
yeah,
need to get through this part while you're doing that, or do that when after you've learned this part, and then like the way things work out for you, the way things come to you is it's like just full speed ahead. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
Oh
it's
my
just like
God,
everything is
when you start allowing, it's like everything just speeds up so much. Your growth speeds up,
you're
your
getting out of your
healings,
way. It's like
yeah,
for, yeah, if it's coming, you're this, right? It's like you just step out of your way and it's just like full speed ahead, but like right into your face. Like you're
yeah,
just stepping out of the way of yourself and saying, all right, I'm not gonna hold myself hostage by not recognizing um my projections and my triggers and not paying attention to my feelings and trying to escape everything and trying to run. And it's the same thing with it's the same reason people turn to drugs and alcohol, right? It's the
yeah,
same reason, trying to escape a feeling.
yeah,
No, address the feeling so that you can finally accept that it's part of your life, accept that the situation is there, so that you can do something different. You can choose a new narrative moving forward. But as long as you're stuck in it because you've not allowed yourself to feel it, it's running on autopilot in the background. It is wreaking havoc on your life and you're not aware of it. You have to be aware of it. You've got to deal with it so that you can go on, live. Because I swear, I think about it sometimes. I'm going to be 90 years old on my deathbed looking back. And do I want to say that I was afraid to do, was I afraid to live my life the way that I really was meant to live my life? Did I live it for other people? Was I so afraid of being who I truly am? Was I so stuck on what everybody else thought of me that I lived my life for everybody else and didn't have, I wasted it?
mm,
I don't want to say that on my deathbed. I want to say that I understood these things and I grasped these concepts and
yeah,
I had growth and I learned, and it was a journey. And yes, it was difficult,
yeah,
but I got this chance. I got this one lifetime to do it and I did it. I
yeah,
had this, this is an experience. It doesn't always feel good. And know that you guys are in pain, right? And like it doesn't feel, it's hard. I know from my perspective to sit here and say, but it's a beautiful journey, and you're gonna, but it is, one day you're gonna look at it and say, I'm glad I got to experience that.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
just here to experience. That's the whole point of
Well,
your
I saw this
existence,
great
experience.
video on, I said this in one of my group programs a couple of weeks ago. This really great video, and I'm really sorry, but I can't remember who it was by. But in essence, what she said, and if anyone knows who it was, you can tell me. They said, imagine if you were like a speck in the universe,
I like this one.
and yeah, you're a speck in the universe, and someone said to you, "Hey, do you want to go to Earth for like a really, really short amount of time? When you go there, you're going to experience all of these crazy things and all of these crazy emotions. And the emotions are going to be the experience. That's what makes the experience. So you're going to feel joy, you're going to feel peace, you're going to feel sadness, you're going to feel grief, you're going to feel excitement, love, romance, all of these complex emotions. You're going to feel sadness, you're going to feel everything.
But you get to feel it
You get
in
to
your
feel it.
body, in a physical body. You get to
and
feel it.
it's and it's going to be a wild ride. What do you think you'd say? You'd say, yeah, I want to do that.
That
That
sounds
sounds
fun.
amazing. And so now that we're on Earth as that little speck in the universe, we are now experiencing all those things. And bloody hell, is it a journey? It is a wild ride. And that is what you're here for. That is what
All
you
of
are
that.
here for. So today, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling you're missing someone,
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
like,
Appreciate that you have the ability to feel it.
imagine, just remember that you are alive, and those feelings there are reminding you that you're alive, which is a beautiful gift. And the feelings are going to change, and they're going to evolve, and they're going to grow, and you're going to grow, and you're going to have more experiences and more lessons. It's going to be beautiful. So that's like, it's just part of the journey, and like,
Turn
definitely,
it
like,
into your strength. Turn the pain into your strength.
yeah,
It's there if you
that's the
can.
thing.
It's
That's
turn it
and
into your power, your superpower. The things that I know Corey can say the same thing. The things that we've been through are our
yeah,
superpowers now.
definitely 100%. Like, I was thinking today, like, I know that people resonate with my story. I know that people, I get all these lovely comments from people, and I'm so grateful for that. But I do think that the reason why that I'd be able to do this now and able to talk to people is because of the pain that I went through, because of the depth of the bloody anxiety disorder that I had, because of the grief that I felt, because of the trauma that I've, felt and experienced. And I know that, like, what I always think is that you're in equal measure to the pain and the suffering that you've experienced. You're going to experience the other side of it, the peace, the realizations, the freedom, all of that. You're going to experience those things in equal measure. So whatever you're going through, there's another side of it that's equally on the opposite end of the spectrum, the same in when it's same but different. And I think, like, it's all the stories that you see of the people who went through some kind of suffering and created a triumph. I think, like, you have to have the mental attitude that you are going to be a triumph, and that you are a triumph, and that your story is,
Yes. And even like, think about it like this. If you desire, not everybody desires a relationship as strongly as the people that come to our channel. That's
no,
because that's what's meant for you. That's your
yeah,
lesson in this life. That
yeah,
is what you're going to experience. The
yeah,
love of your life, a romantic, wild, beautiful, that's meant for you. Because some people, it's the job that they seek, and the relationship is second.
money, yeah,
They're not really bought into the relationship aspect of it. Or some people just want to rescue animals, and that's their entire life.
yeah,
And
and
they're
they're
drawn to
passionate
do that.
about something else,
They're
yeah,
passionate about something else. But people that
yeah.
visit us on our channel are passionate about relationships.
And
And if
love,
you're
and they feel
passionate,
very deeply.
they feel very deeply. If you're passionate about relationships, it's because it's meant for you. The
Yeah,
experience is meant for you. You're gonna experience it. It's gonna be beautiful. You just gonna
yeah,
have to go through a lot of shit to get there, and it's okay. But you're
yeah,
gonna get there, and it doesn't have to take forever. It
no,
doesn't. It doesn't have to take years and 10 years, and it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't be afraid of the journey.
yeah,
Appreciate where you're at, and recognize that you're being prepared for the most beautiful relationship you can imagine. That's what you're meant for.
and
You'll
the most beautiful relationship in the world being the one that with yourself. That's like,
that one,
that's
right?
the freedom that you experience in your body, because remember, no one can jump into your body and make you feel anything. You're the one who's experiencing the things in your body. And I mean, I did see a video that was, I can't remember who it's by now, but it was talking about,
You
it
can't
was
remember
talking
anybody's
I
names.
know, I'm like, I should, because
I
honestly,
can't
I get a
either.
lot of my lessons are from other people. The things that I'm
Yeah.
talking about, I've just like reworded.
We
Well,
all,
but
that's what everybody does. That's what all
yeah,
we're
apart
doing.
from
We're
my
doing the
own
homework for everybody.
experience, obviously, which is only my experience, but like, we want the joys in life are loving, because that's what we can experience in our body, loving someone else, but also what was the other one? That we want to love more than we actually want to be loved, because when
We're trying to
we
express the
and
love,
also,
right?
and that's the other thing, to love another person, but also to love yourself, because when you're in a relationship with someone else, right, you get the reflection that reminds you that you are love. So you're experiencing your own love. You're experiencing a love for yourself when you see someone externally loving you, right? You get to
A
experience and
reflection.
allow yourself to love yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you want to do. That's what you want to experience. So you can start doing that today, right now, build that muscle over time, learning how to feel and express
And
love
let's
for yourself.
talk
And
about that
love,
a second. What is, because I think when I first learned like I'm supposed to love myself, I felt like it was just a bunch of lies I was telling myself in my
yeah,
mind. I didn't really understand what that really entailed. And
yeah,
and and truthfully, it's just living authentically and not
yeah,
placing other people, their wants and desire. Like if some like, so for me, just a quick example is like my husband loves going to the movies. He loves it, and I could is I can watch it at home. Like that seems like I'm in the comfort of
yeah,
my house. I don't know. So I kept going though, and it didn't matter what time. Like we're trying to find babysitters, and this is a big ordeal, and
yeah,
I'm going. And it might be like a 7 or 8 o'clock at night movie, and like we gotta find someone to watch the kids until late. And I was just doing it and doing it, and then I was like, why isn't he figuring out that like this is too much work and I don't want to do this, but I kept
yeah,
doing it. And so at this
yeah,
point, I'm sacrificing my happiness to make him happy. And
yeah,
this was one of the things, this was before the second breakup, but then I realized like, no, I could just say no. Like I
yeah,
can just choose that's loving yourself. That's
yeah,
saying, no, I'm important too. So for me, it's like mental boundaries that I had to set and then physical boundaries. So now, it's funny because now that I say it, now when he comes, he's like, I want to see this movie with you. Are you okay with that? And here's the times, and I know you don't want to go late. He's
yeah,
like, if it only showing late, he'll go by himself. He'll be like, I'm gonna go. I know you don't want to. It's cool. And yes, go by all means, have fun. I'm gonna only do what I really want to do. And if there's a compromise, the compromise is I go, right? Like that's
yeah,
already the compromise. I'm going. But if
yeah,
it's too late at night and I've got to find babysitters and I've got to do all of that, it's gonna be a no. And I'm
yeah,
not gonna go late at night, right? Like
yeah,
it's choosing myself. It's choosing yourself and choosing yourself. That's self-love. Choose
yeah.
yourself. Don't
Yeah, and
do
having
other people.
the knowingness that you have a choice, because I think a lot of the, like, the codependency and the self-sacrifice that leads you to resentment and problems in a
Low
relationship, because
self-esteem.
you
Yeah.
don't realize that you have a choice and that you can say no. I mean,
You're not,
I cannot tell you how many times I've done that in my relationship, where I've thought, oh, I need to watch this movie because Johnny wants to watch it, or I need to
yeah,
go to this place because Johnny wants to go there, or I need to make this
you don't want
decision.
to.
Yeah, and I've done that, and I've had to learn the hard way. And really, trust me, like, I mean, one day I'll write a book about this, honestly.
I know
Actually,
how
I am
yeah.
going to write a book. It's called Crying in Bathrooms Around the World.
I
Not to
like
spoil the
that.
title, but that was part of my healing. Crying in bathrooms around the world. But like, yeah, like, the amount of times that I yeah, the amount of times that I had,
Sacrifice yourself. I
yeah,
watched you in real time do it. And
yeah,
telling, I know we've had this conversation so many times. Like if you would just choose yourself,
yeah.
you'll be chosen. If you just choose yourself,
And you
you'll be
can't
chosen.
see it when you can't see it.
You can't.
You can't see it when you can't see it. But then what happens is, through doing those things, through making those mistakes, you're actually led to the pain that heals you. You're led
Yep.
to the suffering that makes you make a
It's
different
gonna
choice.
get louder and
You know,
louder and
yeah,
louder.
it gets louder and louder and louder until you have to address your truth. You have to do it. And that is
Not gonna escape yourself.
you're not
You
going to
can't escape
escape.
yourself. If you're desiring the thing, it's gonna come with you shedding some unhealthy behaviors. You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
You're gonna
And
have to learn to choose yourself.
you've watched, like, probably closer than really anyone in my life. You've watched me go through the pain of having made those decisions that were maybe not for me, and you've watched me have the realizations that made me go, oh my God, I have to do something different. You've watched me address it. You've watched the transformation. You've heard about the shift in my physiology. I mean, all of this isn't really very long ago, I should add. You know, it's like it's been a mad, crazy journey that I've learned so much
And
from.
it's interesting because through the whole thing, in my mind, it's like I even talked to David about it, and I would have to tell him like she's just going through what we went through, and I want to rescue her from it, and on so many levels, but at the same time,
Can't.
you can't. They have to go through it. So I was
But
like, all I have to do is like I do for anybody is hold the torch over here and say, hey, pay attention to this.
yeah,
And if
and
you
if
look over here and you can see this, then you've got some answers and some clues. It's like I've just given you clues to like, and then you'd come back. Like it was so funny because I'd say something to you, and like a couple months later, you come back and you revert it back to me. And
yeah,
we laugh because I was like, that's exactly what I said to her.
yeah,
But
you
now it's
told me
her
that like
idea.
4 months ago.
Yeah, but now it's your idea now, and you've come forward, and it's like, and you have to recognize it's at everybody's time. They're gonna have to go through some things to understand through, and you cannot take that experience away from people. All
No,
you can do as a coach is you can guide them
yeah, and you
into
can
it in a
ask
healthy way.
questions. You can ask
Right.
questions that help people to realize their own truth, and you can give
Right.
guidance about. You can give you guidance, but and you can give your awareness, but sometimes like like you may have experienced yourself, or you may have experienced like with other people or whatever. You're not ready to hear something until you're ready to hear it. Until
Really
you're
not.
ready to feel that thing, you're not going to feel it. So there's no rush, right? There's no like, oh my God, I need to figure this out, I need to know what the answer is. You will, as
You will.
you will figure it out. You will. Not that there's really anything to figure out right now, but there will be revelations, there will be light bulb moments, there will be
You can
lessons.
learn if you can learn to just accept that this is what it is and enjoy it and say,
Yeah,
wow, I'm learning so much. Yeah, it doesn't always feel good, but that's right. Like that's really just you're choosing for it to not feel good. Like you get to choose your own feelings in every situation.
yeah,
But you can choose like, okay, so I'm all right, like so the awareness is like I'm going through this and it doesn't feel very good. But there's something better waiting for me, and I don't have to like sit in my sorrow all day and feel bad for myself and be the victim. And I don't have to like affirm my way out of this. Like there's a journey here that I should appreciate because either you've got nowhere to be but right here in your present moment. There's nothing else exists. There's no present and there's no past right now. Like as you're listening to this video, all you have is what you're hearing right now.
yeah.
Your hands, look down at your hands, ground yourself a minute, look down and recognize that this is the only moment that exists.
And
I have a choice in this moment.
interestingly as well, if you are still watching this video or still
Hopefully it's
listening to
not.
this video an hour and what into it, it's long, isn't it? Like if you're still here, then you really are on this journey. You
Oh yeah.
really you're hearing
You're
us
bought
on
in.
some level, right? You're aware enough to understand that there's something in this message that will resonate with you. We resonate with you. We are you, basically.
Yes.
We really do understand, why you might be interested in this, because like on my journey, I've been interested in the people that I've resonated with. I'm like, you get me, you understand me, you've lived this journey, and I think like if you're still listening to this, I mean, reach out to us, talk to us, say hello, write a comment, tell us that you're on the journey too, and tell us that you've heard it, because connection is everything. Connection is healing. Actually learning these things is nervous system regulation. We love learning because we know that we're evolving, and as humans we want to evolve, and that calms our nervous system.
I'm
Interesting.
dedicated. Yeah, I'm dedicated to my growth
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. But
Wow.
yeah, and let me just throw this out. Let me plug this real quick. Is that I have got Voxer. I know people
Yeah,
don't know what it is, but it's an app that you can download and we can talk. You can leave messages, you can leave voice notes, you can leave text messages, and I can reply to them in real time. And I don't charge $1 million. It's like $50 for a week. You get to talk to me for a whole week. It's an
Which is
amazing tool.
literally what, honestly, you can't actually put a price on it, really, which I do think is
So
incredibly
benefits.
cheap.
She's done it before, so she knows the benefit of being able to use
Oh
Voxer.
yeah, I did it before with I did it before a couple of years ago with or whenever we were about must have been about a year ago with a coach that I was doing a course with. Voxer's really good. It's like I'm sure that it's going to take off at some point. We're not being paid for this, by the way, but
Right.
like not to
No,
promote
there's no
Voxer, but
plan. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think
it
people recognize like the usefulness of it.
is actually really
And
good.
I
Yeah.
think people, if you go to my site and you see Voxer coaching, I promise you it is worth it. You're just gonna leave me, you're gonna let me know that you're there, and I'm gonna leave you a message. You're gonna tell me everything. And we're gonna get into it for a week, and I'll reply once a day or more if it's necessary. And
Mm.
it's Corey don't need the business. You're good. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm all for it. Go to talk to April. Absolutely,
Both
definitely.
have great things to offer in different ways. In similar ways, but different at the same time. Like Corey's, you got the presence. Like you've got this whole package that I just adore about you.
Oh,
You got a
I
way of being able
tell
to slip
you.
in.
By the way, everyone, we still haven't met in real life. That'll
We
be a
keep
fun
planning it.
day.
She was almost going to come in December, and then
Yeah, it looks like it will have to be postponed, but
that's
at
okay.
some point it will happen when it's meant to be. And you
Yes,
can come over to the
I can't
UK and I
wait.
can show you a tour around the UK.
I can't
And
wait.
yeah, that'll be really fun. Yeah.
We're gonna be we're this is a lifelong friendship. I think you're the only friend that I actually care to even talk to.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I think we've
Good.
like changed each other's lives, haven't we?
Yes,
It's like I mean,
conversations are always stimulating.
yeah, no, it's like that. And I actually, what's beautiful is that I see a lot of my clients having these beautiful relationships that they've made through like groups that that people have come together and people have started resonating with each other, and they go off and make their own manifestation buddies, and they say things like, I can't believe how similar this person is to me. I can't believe I'm so
It's a
blessed
beautiful
to have this
thing.
person in my life. And it's so nice because these friendships are just like ours. And I feel like lots of people are like mirroring us. So
That's cute.
come
I
to
like
one of
that.
my group coaching, guys, because
Oh my God, they're so beneficial. I love them. I have
oh
so
yeah,
much
you've
fun
come
when
to
I
the
join.
manifestation
Yeah, it's
masters.
so relaxed and
Yeah.
beneficial. Like, what? It makes me think, like, why am I not doing this? I need to be doing this. But you're so good at that. You're so good at operating that.
Do you know what? Actually, group coaching is, and my Manifestation Masters Academy will tell you this, and the group that I just had in November will tell you the same thing. Like, it is, in some ways, it's got more benefit than one-to-one coaching in a way, because of that vulnerability and that connection and the time that is spent with the same people, especially in the small groups. And like with the Manifestation Masters, and I'm going to be opening up a few spots, because basically more than like 60 or 70% of the people who are in that small group now want to stay on and do it again for the next few months. But
I see why. I can see
there's
why.
going to be a couple of spots opening up for that.
Everybody has unique questions and unique perspectives, and they can share their.
And they get to know each other, and
Mhm.
they experience what I think is basically a new type of family. So wherever there was dysfunctional relationships in family, you get to be validated in this family, you get to be listened to in this family, you get to express yourself in this family, and
I like
everybody
that
will
so
listen.
much.
And it's so beautiful, and the growth, oh my God, I love them. I hope they're watching this. I love you. Yeah, but that's that I'll talk more about that at some point. But anyway, I think,
This is
yeah,
super long. I'll be surprised. I'll be shocked to see that people make it to the
if you
end.
listen to it all, please let us know. We
That's
are
so
like
funny.
celebrating you. And
Yes.
listen to it. You know what I do when I want to listen to long videos is I put them on like double speed, so they go really, really quick, but I can listen
Yeah.
to it, and it gets through it a bit quicker. So
I'll come
yeah,
back. Put it.
yeah, put
Maybe we
it,
do part one, part two.
yeah. But we were well in the mood for this video, weren't we? We were like, yes, let's do a video tomorrow. And I feel
Yes.
like we've had, yeah, good vibes.
Always good vibes.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
Well, I'm going to press stop now and upload this. But thanks everybody for listening. And if you have
Bye,
any
guys.
questions or anything that you can ask me, or you can ask April, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.